is the best choice you have ever made? Some choices are easy, aren't they? Like if your mum asked you, do you want cabbage or chocolate for your after-school snack? You'd choose chocolate, wouldn't you? Me too. It's an easy choice. But some choices are harder. In fact, sometimes the hardest choice is the best choice. Like if I asked you, would you rather do all the washing up after Sunday lunch and get £10 pocket money, or do no washing up but get no pocket money? Or would you rather eat loads of green vegetables and get an ice cream sundae for pudding, or eat no vegetables but get no pudding? Or if I asked you, would you rather have a puppy but have to clean up its smelly poop, or never have to clean up any smelly poop but not have a puppy? Sometimes the hardest option is the best option, isn't it? Well, today we're going to hear about some people who had a choice to make. Will they choose to be their own king, or will they choose to have Jesus as their king? Listen out and hear if you can spot what they choose. The first person is a man called John the Baptist. John was born before Jesus, and he was trying to get people ready for Jesus. He spent his whole life telling people that Jesus is the king. He told people to believe in King Jesus, to stop living their own way and to start living Jesus' way. John loved Jesus very much, but soon he found out that living for Jesus wasn't an easy choice. Listen to the Bible to find out what happened to him.
There was a king called King Herod. King Herod liked John, and he enjoyed listening to him speak about Jesus. But there was a problem. King Herod had stolen his brother's wife, Herodias, and married her himself. And so John told King Herod that he wasn't living Jesus' way. Jesus says, don't steal anyone's wife, and he was ignoring the king of the universe and going his own way. And so John said, stop living your own way and believe in King Jesus. King Herod didn't like it very much when John said that. But his wife Herodias didn't like it even more. She hated John. She especially hated it when he told her to stop living her own way. She hated it so much that she wanted to kill John. King Herod wanted to make his wife happy, but he didn't want to kill John because he liked him and he wanted to hear him speak about Jesus. So instead, he put John in prison. But then on Herod's birthday, he had a party and invited all the most important people from his town. Herodias' daughter danced at the party, and Herod and his guests thought she was amazing. So King Herod said to the girl, ask me for anything you want and I will give it to you. So she went and asked Herodias, what should I ask for? Herodias answered, ask for the head of John the Baptist. At once the girl went back to the king and said to him, I want the head of John the Baptist right now on a platter. Although the king was very sad, he had made a promise and his guests had heard it, so he didn't want to say no. So the king sent a soldier to bring John's head. The soldier went and cut off John's head in the prison and brought it back on a platter. When John's followers heard this, they came and got John's body and put it in a tomb.
So, there was 3 people, Herodias, Herod and John, and they all had a choice to make. Will they choose to live as their own king, or will they choose to live with Jesus as their king? Let's start with Herodias. Herodias heard that John was telling people to stop living their own way and turn to King Jesus. And so she had a choice to make. Will she keep living her own way, or will she start living for King Jesus? Herodias chose to keep living her own way because she hated being told what to do. In fact, she hated it so much that she got rid of John so that she never had to hear about Jesus ever again. Now, it's easy to think Herodias is the bad guy in this story. But I bet if you're honest, you sometimes hate being told what to do too. I know I do. Especially when we're told to stop doing something that we really want to do. Like when your mum tells you to stop watching TV and go and set the table for dinner. It's so annoying because we want to do what we want to do. Just like Herodias, we want things our way. But just like Herodias, we have a choice to make. Will we keep living our own way, or will we turn to King Jesus and start living his way? Next, we have Herod. Herod liked hearing about King Jesus. When Herodias first wanted him to kill John, he didn't because he wanted to hear more about Jesus. But then at his party, the choice got harder. When Herodias' daughter asked for John's head on a platter, Herod could have said, "No, I don't want to kill John. I like what he's saying about Jesus. I want Jesus to be my king." But he didn't say that because all of his friends and lots of important people were there at the party and he wanted to please them. If he didn't kill John, they might have laughed at him. They might have called him a coward. He might have lost all their respect. And he didn't want that because he was the king. And so instead of choosing to live for King Jesus, he chose to please the people. Instead of saying Jesus is the king, he said, "I am the king." I wonder what you would have done if you were Herod. Now, you're probably never going to be asked to kill somebody. I hope not anyway. But what would you do if all your friends were making fun of people who believed in Jesus? Would you join in? Would you stay quiet? Or would you say, "I believe in Jesus too"? Or what would you do if all your friends were doing something you knew wasn't something that Jesus would want? Would you join in? Or would you say, "No, I want to live Jesus' way"? You see, just like Herod, we all have a choice to make. Will you choose the easy option and just live to please your friends, live for yourself? Or will you choose to live for Jesus even when it's hard? Lastly, we have John. John chose to live with Jesus as his king. He believed that Jesus is God, the King of the universe, the one who came to forgive us and save us. And so he spent his whole life telling everyone about King Jesus. But that wasn't an easy choice for John to make, was it? He ended up being put in prison and killed, all because he chose to live for King Jesus and not for himself. He could have stopped living for Jesus when it got hard. Then he wouldn't have had to go to prison. Then he wouldn't have been killed. But he didn't. No matter how hard things got, John kept choosing to live for King Jesus. So the question now is, who do you think made the best choice? Well, later on in the Bible, we find out. Because a few years after John was killed, Jesus was killed. And just like John, he was put in a tomb. But he didn't stay in that tomb. 3 days later, the tomb was empty. King Jesus had defeated death and come back to life so that everyone who believes in him will be forgiven and have life forever with him. And so John knew that living for King Jesus was the best choice, even if it was hard, even if it meant he would be killed. Because he knew that he would be raised back to life and get to live forever with the King he loves. Not because he deserves it, but because his King, King Jesus, would die for him. And so John knew that choosing to live for King Jesus was the best choice, no matter how hard it was. So the question is, what will you choose? Why don't you spend some time praying now? You could say sorry to King Jesus for all the times that you tried to live your own way. You could say thank you to King Jesus for dying so that you could be forgiven and have life forever with him. And you could ask him to help you to live for him even when it's hard. Then after you've prayed, you can click here to sing about how Jesus is the greatest treasure.